I finally feel alive again. He makes me feel like a teenager. It's like we've known each other for 1,000 years. I cannot tell you how many times I have sat in my clinic looking across the room at a brilliant, compassionate woman in her 60s, a woman who has raised children, built a career, and navigated the complexities of life, only to hear her utter those exact words with a glassy, euphoric look in her eyes. She is describing a new man in her life. She believes she is describing a soulmate connection, a miracle that has arrived in the fourth quarter of her life to save her from loneliness. But when I hear those words, he makes me feel like a teenager. I don't feel relief. I feel a knot of dread in my stomach, because in my line of work, that specific kind of intensity, that rushed intimacy, that feeling of being swept away, is rarely a sign of enduring love. It is almost always a precursor to a devastating psychological crash. The tragedy of finding love later in life, specifically for women over 50, is that the very things we have been conditioned to look for, the sparks, the grand gestures, the obsessive thinking, are often the psychological markers of a predator, or at best, an emotionally unstable partner. We mistake anxiety for passion, we mistake control for protection, and we mistake the right man for the boring man, often walking right past real safety because it doesn't feel like the roller coasters we saw in movies. In over 20 years of clinical practice, specializing in female psychology and relationship dynamics, I have walked with hundreds of women through the wreckage of what they thought was their last great love. I have seen retirement savings drained, relationships with adult children severed, and vibrant, independent women reduced to shells of their former selves, all because they missed the true signs of a healthy partner and fell for the counterfeit version. The right partner in your 50s or 60s looks very different from the right partner in your 20s. The stakes are higher. You have more to lose: your autonomy, your assets, your emotional legacy. Before we go any further, I want to ask you to take a small step to protect yourself and the women you love. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It isn't just about the algorithm, it is about building a community of women who are awake to these realities, women who refuse to be sleepwalking into heartbreak. And I need you to stay with me until the very end of this video, because I am going to give you a specific set of self-diagnostic questions, a litmus test that will cut through the fog of infatuation and tell you with brutal honesty if you are safe or if you are in danger. Today, we are going to talk about the 3 definitive signs that you are with the right man, but we are going to do this differently. I am not going to give you a Hallmark card list of generic traits. I am going to contrast the true sign against the dangerous counterfeit that most women fall for. Because if you don't know the difference between the trap and the truth, you will choose the trap every single time. The first sign that you are with the right partner is something that might initially disappoint you, or even make you doubt the relationship. The first sign is a profound sense of boredom, or what I prefer to call neurological safety, rather than high-octane chemistry. Let me explain the hidden danger here. We live in a culture that fetishizes the spark, especially for women who may have been in a loveless marriage for decades, or who have been widowed and dealing with grief. The sudden arrival of a man who creates a chemical storm in the brain feels addictive. You want that dopamine hit. You want the butterflies. But psychologically speaking, what we call butterflies is often just anxiety masquerading as love. It is your sympathetic nervous system activating a fight or flight response because the person is unpredictable. Let me tell you about a client of mine named Diane. Diane was 62, a retired academic, incredibly sharp. She met a man named Robert online. Robert was charismatic, intense, and moved fast, Within 3 weeks, he was telling her he had never felt this way before. He texted her 50 times a day. If she didn't reply immediately, he would send a sad emoji or ask if he had upset her. Diane told me, "He's just so passionate. I've never been desired like this." She felt alive. She felt chosen. Contrast this with a man she had met a few months prior, a man named David. David was kind, consistent, and stable. He called when he said he would. He didn't rush the physical intimacy. He had his own life and hobbies. Diane stopped seeing David because, in her words, there was no spark. It felt too flat. Fast forward 6 months. Robert, the passionate man, had slowly dismantled Diane's life. That desire turned into possessiveness. The constant texting turned into surveillance. The intensity was actually a manifestation of his deep insecurity and narcissism. It wasn't love, it was hunger. He needed her to regulate his emotions. When the relationship inevitably imploded, it nearly destroyed her mental health. The sign of the right man is the absence of that frantic roller coaster anxiety. A healthy partner regulates his own emotions. When you are with the right man, your nervous system should feel like a calm lake, not a stormy ocean. You shouldn't be checking your phone with a racing heart, wondering where you stand. You shouldn't be analyzing his every word for hidden meaning. The right man is consistent. He is boring in the most beautiful way possible. He is reliable. The danger of missing this sign is that you will interpret safety as lack of chemistry. You will mistake a healthy, slow-burning connection for indifference. But real intimacy, especially at this stage of life, is built on the quiet comfort of being known, not the frantic energy of being chased. Concrete rule: if you have to act like a detective to figure out how he feels about you, or if his affection feels like a drug you are begging for, you are not with the right man. You are with a chaotic one. The second sign that you are with the right partner is that he actively supports your autonomy and your relationships with others, rather than trying to create a us against the world dynamic. This is perhaps the most insidious trap for older women. We call it the merger. A predator or an unhealthy partner often uses the guise of romance to isolate you. He might say things like, "I just want you all to myself," or "Your children don't understand our love," or "My ex-wife was crazy, but you get me." This is known as triangulation and isolation. Consider the story of Elena, a 58-year-old woman who owned her own small business. She met a man who seemed to be her perfect match. At first, he was helpful. He offered to fix things around her house. He offered to look at her business finances to help her save money. He wanted to spend every weekend with her, which meant she started missing her usual Sunday lunches with her daughter and grandchildren. When she mentioned this, he would sigh and say, "I just cherish our time together so much. I hate sharing you. Don't you want to be with me?" It sounds romantic, doesn't it? Being wanted that much? But it wasn't romance. It was an encroachment on her autonomy. Slowly he began to criticize her friends. "They're just jealous of us," he'd say. He started planting seeds of doubt about her children. "Your son only calls when he needs money," he'd whisper. Before Elena knew it, her world had shrunk down to the size of one man. The right partner does the exact opposite. The right man for a woman in her 50s or 60s understands that you come as a package deal with a history, a family, a career, and a network of friends. He doesn't just tolerate your independence, he celebrates it. He wants you to see your friends. He encourages you to spend time with your grandchildren without him hovering. He respects your financial boundaries and never, ever tries to rush into joint accounts or financial merging. The right man has a full life of his own friends, his own interests, his own family connections, and he invites you to share that life, not to be consumed by it. He is not looking for a nurse, a purse, or a mother. He is looking for a partner. The danger here is confusing enmeshment with intimacy. Many women feel that if a man wants to do everything together, it means he loves them deeply. In reality, it often means he is trying to erase your identity so that you become an extension of him. A healthy relationship breathes. It has space. It has two pillars standing apart, supporting the same roof. Concrete rule: the right partner will never ask you to shrink your world to fit him into it. If he competes with your children or your past for attention, he is not a partner, he is a child in a man's body. The third sign is arguably the most critical for long-term survival, yet it is the one most ignored during the honeymoon phase. The third sign is how he handles conflict and repair. Everyone is on their best behavior in the beginning. It is easy to be charming when you are ordering wine at a nice restaurant. It is easy to be loving when there are no demands being placed on you. But the true character of a man, and the definitive sign he is the right one, is revealed only when you say no to him, or when there is a disagreement. The danger pattern here is the man who is perfect until he is challenged. I'm thinking of a case involving a woman named Sarah. She was seeing a man who was the life of the party, incredibly generous and very charming. But the first time Sarah had to cancel a date because she wasn't feeling well, the mask slipped. He went cold. He didn't yell, he just withdrew. He didn't answer her calls for 2 days. When he finally resurfaced, he acted as if nothing had happened, but made a subtle joke about her being unreliable. This is a form of punishment. It is called stonewalling or the silent treatment. Other versions of this include gaslighting, telling you that what you saw or heard isn't real, or shifting the blame so that every time you bring up a concern, you end up apologizing to him. The right partner fights fair. Conflict is inevitable in any relationship. But with the right person, conflict is a bridge to better understanding, not a weapon of shame. When you are with the right man and you express a need or a boundary, he listens. He might be annoyed, he might be defensive for a moment, he's human, but he ultimately circles back to repair the connection. He takes responsibility for his part. He says, "I'm sorry I snapped at you." He doesn't hold grudges. He doesn't use your vulnerabilities against you in an argument. Most importantly, the right man allows you to have a different opinion without viewing it as a betrayal. He respects your no as much as your yes. In late life relationships, where habits are set and personalities are solidified, the ability to negotiate differences with respect is the single greatest predictor of happiness. If you are walking on eggshells, afraid that one wrong move will cause him to explode or withdraw, you are not in a relationship, you are in a hostage situation. Concrete rule: pay attention to what happens when you disappoint him. The right man remains kind even when he is frustrated, while the wrong man uses your guilt as a tool to control you. Now, why is this so vitally important? Why am I, a clinical psychologist, urging you to be so vigilant? Because the cost of getting this wrong at this stage of life is not just a broken heart, it is a broken life. When we are young, we have time to recover. We have decades to rebuild our finances, to heal our nervous systems, to mend family rifts. But in our 50s, 60s, and beyond, time is our most precious, non-renewable resource. I have seen the physical toll these toxic relationships take on women. The constant, low-level stress of being with the wrong man, the walking on eggshells, the confusion, the isolation floods your body with cortisol. I have seen women develop autoimmune flare-ups, severe insomnia, high blood pressure, and chronic anxiety, all stemming from the body screaming that it is not safe. Your body often knows the truth before your mind does. If you are with a man and you find yourself getting sick more often, feeling exhausted, or having a knot in your stomach when his car pulls into the driveway, that is not a coincidence. That is a warning. Furthermore, there is the devastating impact on your family. I have seen mothers estranged from their adult children because a new partner drove a wedge between them. The predator knows that your children are his biggest threat because they love you and they are watching him. he will work tirelessly to paint them as the enemy. And if you choose him over them, the damage to your family legacy can be irreparable. Ask yourself, is this man worth losing the people who have known and loved you your entire life? So, what is the healthy alternative? If we strip away the Hollywood fantasy and the toxic mimicry, what does real love look like in the golden years? It looks like living apart together. A growing trend where couples maintain their own homes and finances, but come together for companionship and love. It looks like slow love, where trust is earned in drops over months and years, not in a flood over weeks. It looks like a partnership between two sovereign nations. You are a queen in your domain, he is a king in his, and you meet at the border with respect and joy. The right man adds to your life, he doesn't subtract from it. He brings peace, not drama. He respects the life you built before he arrived. I want to speak directly to you for a moment. I know that loneliness can be a physical ache. I know that in a world that often renders older women invisible, the attention of a man can feel like water in a desert. But you must remember your worth. You are not a rescue mission. You are a woman of substance. You have survived heartbreaks, losses, and challenges that would bring most people to their knees. Do not discount a lifetime of wisdom just because a man pays you a compliment. You do not need a man to complete you. You are already whole. A partner should be the cherry on top of the sundae, not the ice cream itself. If he threatens the structure of the life you have built, he is not a partner. He is a demolition crew. I promised you earlier that I would give you a way to test this. I want you to close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself these self-diagnostic questions. Be brutally honest. The answers are for you and you alone. Number one, does my nervous system feel calm in his presence, or am I constantly scanning for his mood? Number two, do I feel free to say no to him without fear of him withdrawing affection or punishing me? Number three, has he encouraged my relationships with my friends and family, or has he made subtle comments that make me feel guilty for spending time with them? Number four, do I find myself making excuses for his behavior to other people? Do I hide things he says or does because I know my friends would be concerned? Number five, is there a balance of power specifically regarding money and time, or does everything happen on his terms? Number six, do I feel like I am auditioning for the role of his girlfriend, constantly trying to prove I am good enough, young enough, or exciting enough? Number seven, if this relationship stayed exactly as it is today, with no potential for him to change or improve, would I be happy in 5 years? If you answered yes to the anxiety, the hiding, the excuses, or the auditioning, you are likely in the trap of the wrong man. Ultimately, the goal is not to avoid love. Love is a beautiful, vital part of the human experience at any age. The goal is to pursue love with your eyes wide open. The goal is to bring the wisdom of your years into your dating life. The right man will not be intimidated by your strength. He will be relieved by it. He will not want to save you. He will want to stand beside you. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this message resonated with you, or if you saw a piece of your own story in Diane, Elena, or Sarah, please share this with a friend who might need to hear it. We protect each other by sharing the truth. Stay safe, stay wise, and remember, your peace is too expensive to trade for a cheap thrill.